I never imagined a few words on a screen could dismantle my entire world. But there it was, glowing on my phone like a blade disguised as light. Accidentally slept with my ex. For a long moment, I just stared at it, breath trapped somewhere in my chest, fingers trembling as if they belonged to someone else. Just days ago, I'd been planning our wedding, choosing flowers, dreaming about the home we'd build, the mornings we'd wake up side by side. Every shared laugh, every promise, every gentle silence had felt like a stone laid in the foundation of something permanent. And then, in a handful of words, that foundation gave way. I thought back to the morning she left for her bachelorette trip. She kissed me with that playful smile, the one that always made the rest of the world disappear. I joked about her drinking too much, dancing with strangers, never once suspecting that a joke would become a prophecy. Hours passed as I paced the apartment, the text still burning in my mind. I reread it over and over, hoping it was a typo, a cruel prank, anything but real. But the words didn't change. They sat there, final, immovable, and devastating. Anger tangled with disbelief, leaving me frozen. How does someone accidentally sleep with their ex? How does a night meant for celebration twist into betrayal? My mind clawed through every memory, every shared secret, desperate to find the cracks I must have missed. Maybe the signs were there all along, buried beneath my trust. And then came the realization. Quiet, terrifying, absolute. Nothing would ever be the same again. I told myself to breathe, to think, but the image of her laughing, carefree, refusing to see what she'd destroyed wouldn't let me rest. Every memory we'd built felt poisoned. I looked around our apartment, the plates we'd picked together, the photos that once radiated joy, and everything felt hollow, foreign. When she finally called, my heart was already a fortress. Her voice trembled, soft, uncertain, as if she sensed the damage but couldn't comprehend its depth. She spoke in circles, trying to explain, to justify, to rewrite what couldn't be undone. I listened, but her words slid past me like echoes in an empty room. All I could feel was the silence left by shattered trust. In that moment, holding the phone, I understood something final had shifted. The future we'd been building, our plans, our love, hung by a thread too thin to save. I set the phone down, the weight of everything pressing against me like a tide I couldn't fight. That night, meant for celebration, became a spiral of questions with no answers. I replayed every conversation, every smile, searching for a clue that never existed. She had traded our promise for a moment of weakness, or maybe selfishness. It no longer mattered which. When she came home, I met her at the door. Her eyes were wet, her voice trembling with apologies. But I was calm, eerily calm. Somewhere between heartbreak and clarity, I had found my footing again. I told her softly that trust, once fractured this deeply, could never be pieced back together the same way. Leaving wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, deliberate. Each step away from her felt like reclaiming a part of myself I hadn't realized I'd given up. There would be pain, yes, and anger, but underneath it all was freedom, the kind that comes when you decide your worth isn't something someone else can break. Alone, I sat in the silence, feeling the ache of what might have been, but knowing I had chosen something stronger, myself. That night's betrayal had ended one story, but it also marked the beginning of another, one built on resilience, clarity, and the quiet power of refusing to settle for anything less than I deserve.